Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Marie, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make a vegan gluten-free version of the classic cheddar broccoli casserole recipe, and just in time for your holiday meal planning. So this recipe is so cheesy and delicious, and I'm really excited to bring this to you guys. I've been serving it to my family for the last couple of years during the holidays, and they absolutely love it, and they always rave about how they just can't even believe that it's plant-based. So if you yourself, or if you're hosting someone who is following dairy and or gluten-free dietary modifications, I highly recommend this recipe because it's something that just everyone can love and enjoy, and you won't regret it. So follow along with me to see which ingredients work best to make this recipe a hit at your holiday table. So I've preheated my oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So to begin, I've started with 2 bunches of fresh organic broccoli, and I went ahead and trimmed off the stems, and I rinsed my broccoli florets, and I've put them into a steamer basket, and I'm going to steam them for just about 10 minutes. And now I'm going to go ahead and make my plant-based egg. So I'm starting out with 1.5 teaspoons of ENRG-Egg Replacer. This is a wonderful product, and I really love it. It just works great. Now, I have used a flax egg in this recipe, and it worked fine, but I do have some issues with flax eggs. They don't always work out well for me, so more often than not, I end up using this product, the ENRG-Egg Replacer, and I just feel like it's a little more reliable for me. So, okay, and I've got some, well, it's a little bit too warm, but I've got 2 tablespoons of warm water here, and I'm just gonna go ahead and mix that in. Might be a little too warm. Sometimes if the water's too warm, it does make your job a little harder. Seems to get a little more. You want it warm, but like lukewarm, sort of. Definitely not cold. Oh, actually, it's working out okay. And so this takes a little bit of time. You just want to get most of the clumps out. Okay, so I'm liking the consistency of this now. So now I'm going to go ahead and add in a 1/4 teaspoon of Guar Gum. And this is just a little something that I developed, which I feel really helps just give the ENRG-Egg Replacer a little bump. It just makes it a little bit of insurance, you know, a little more binding power, which it's more important in your baked goods, because that's where you really, you know, dealing with bread, gluten-free vegan bread, that's where you really have challenges. But I'm gonna go ahead and add it in here too, because some of the classic recipes for this cheddar broccoli casserole, there's a wide variation online. It's been around, it's one of those recipes that's been around for a long time, and it's gone through a lot of revisions and such. You know, everybody makes their own version. So a couple of them have called for 2 eggs. Oh, there's my oven. And so the recipe that I had used before I decided to follow a plant-based dietary lifestyle it called for 1 egg. And so I'm just gonna use the 1 egg, but it's gonna be a good egg, darn it. Just kidding. So anyways, that's gonna be a very binding egg. Okay, so that's looking really good. So now, let's set this aside. And here I've got a 9x13 Pyrex dish, and I'm going to just go ahead and lightly grease this with some Earth Balance organic plant-based butter. I love this butter. This is the one that I use. You know, in the beginning, when the product was first coming out like this, there was a lot of like coconut-based butters, and the thing about coconut is it's great if you want coconut flavor in whatever it is you're making. Like maybe you're making toast and you want it to taste a little coconutty just for something different. Or even those, you know, there was like a coconut mashed potatoes was kind of trendy for a while. And yeah, it tastes great, but I don't always want, you know, I don't always want the flavor of coconut to dominate my dishes, you know? So That's why I really like this one, because it doesn't have any coconut in it. And it's organic, and it's nice and buttery and salty. And so the flavor is right on, and it works just like butter. Like when you use it to bake or cook, it's almost no different than butter. So great product. I really like it. Highly recommend it if you can find it where you live. So, all right, this is looking good. So the recipe calls for, basically the original recipe calls for a can of a cream of mushroom soup. And it's kind of hard to find a vegan version of that. For a couple of years, I actually made my own because I just couldn't find it, because anything cream soup generally has cream in it, you know, milk. And so even for people that aren't following a plant-based dietary lifestyle, a lot of people are lactose intolerant, you know, and so there could be a problem right there. So I used to make my own. Basically, I just got some porcini mushrooms, I think that's how they're pronounced, and dried, and I would put them in my dedicated spice grinder, which is a coffee grinder that I use for my spices and seasonings, and I just ground them up into a powder, and then I just used a plant milk and, you know, warmed it up on the stove like a soup, and I just put the powdered mushrooms in and like some, I think, brown rice flour or something like that, and just stirred it up, and that was my cream of mushroom soup, and that totally works. So if that's all you've got, and you don't even have to, you can use shiitake mushrooms probably, you know, or whatever you've got that's dry that you can get a hold of. That works. So last year I found some. They had a cream of mushroom soup that was plant-based. I didn't have as much luck so far yet, but I did find this. It's by Imagine Foods, and this is a vegan, no, it's organic, gluten-free, vegan wild mushroom gravy. And so it's creamy looking, and it doesn't have any dairy in it, so this is gonna work great. They also had a really large container. I almost bought that first until I saw this one, like one of the bigger boxes. And what it was it wasn't cream of mushroom soup, but it was creamy mushroom soup. So it did have that creamier, thicker element to it, and that would totally work too. It was also plant-based. And I suppose if that's all you can get is the large container, you could probably use the rest of it to make your gravy. You know, I'm sure you'd have a wonderful mushroom gravy base right there. So that's an option too. So lots of options here. The main thing is the recipe calls for 10 1/4 ounces, because I guess that's what a traditional, like, you know, your Campbell's cream of mushroom soup is. And this one is 13.5 ounces. So I think I'm not gonna really weigh it out. Ooh, wow, ooh, that smells good. So savory, wow. Ooh, I'm kind of excited, this is gonna work out well. So I think I'm just gonna guesstimate, you know, yeah, I'm just gonna leave a little bit in here, and I'm gonna have ultimate faith in the universe that I've just poured about 10 3/4 ounces of this product into my bowl, into my dish. And so next, we need 8 ounces of vegan mayo. Okay, so I recommend that you get a more viscous variety like this. You see how viscous that is? I mean, it's pretty thick. The reason why is vegan mayos vary so much from brand to brand, and a lot of them have a very oily base. Doesn't mean I don't like them. I just feel that vegan mayos have their purpose in different dishes. You know what I'm saying? Some of them perform better for certain things. And I'm sure you might be able to find some locally near you that are kind of like this thick and, you know, more viscous. So that's what I recommend in this recipe. I haven't tried it with one of the runnier, more oilier mayos. I think there's a lot of forgiveness in this recipe. I think there's probably a lot of room to, you know, everything doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, sometimes you might put a little more broccoli. Like I said, there's such a wide variation online in the recipes. So I really think there's gonna be a lot of forgiveness. but this is what I'm using, so. And I'm going to check on my broccoli florets for just a moment, and I'll be right back. Okay, so the florets are looking good, and I've got some assistance. So let's just go ahead and whisk this up a little bit. There we go. Now we're getting mixed in there. Okay, so now I'm going to add my vegan egg, plant-based egg, for the binding. Wow. The longer it sits, the thicker it gets, and that's kind of why you'll see that I generally start my recipes by making my egg. Even with flax eggs, it's true. The longer you let them sit, the more they have time to become more more viscous, and I was gonna say gelatinous. I just like that word, I don't know why. Gelatinous. Just sounds intriguing. Okay, so we're ready to add our cheddar cheese. So I'm using the Daya brand, and this is like sort of like a new and improved version of their cheddar style shreds. So the original version worked great. I've used it before and it came out wonderfully, but apparently these ones just are a little more melty and creamy. So, and I was able to find them today, so that's what I'm gonna use. So the recipe calls for 8 ounces. These are actually 7.1 ounces, which, you know, is close enough, but I like it really cheesy, so I might be adding more. Just gonna see how it works out proportion-wise with the broccoli. I've also purchased the, I think, Follow Your Heart. It's like slices, but they're right up against each other, so it's sort of like a little block too. There's no paper between the slices, so you can just go, oh, wait, is there? I can't remember. But regardless, it's just a little square block of a few slices. And what I've done in the past too, because I love the Follow Your Heart brand as well. And I know there's some other delicious brands out there I haven't had a chance to try yet because I just haven't found them locally. But anyways, I just get the whole block and just grate it. And so if you can't find, you know, some that are pre-shredded, try that. Okay, yeah, so I'm seeing some corners here that aren't quite filled in with cheese, and that's a disgrace in my book. No, I'm just kidding. So I'm just gonna bump up the cheddar. So let's see. I probably threw in another couple of ounces, maybe like, I don't know, 2.5, 3 ounces. And now here's the steamed broccoli florets. And they look lovely. They're still a little bright green, so I think I steamed them just right. So I don't want them to turn to mush when they bake. I mean, not entirely. Just pull those puppies in there. Ooh, my goodness. It's amazing how this, you know, is gonna turn into just something super delicious and just melty and wonderful and comforting and satisfying. And need I go on? No, I'm just kidding. You know what? I'm gonna sprinkle some cheese on top of the broccoli also. See, if that was real egg and mayonnaise, or if that was real egg, I couldn't do that. I couldn't with my finger. There is a thing called moderation, so I should be careful, and that is why we test recipes too. I used to love the crunchy crackers on top so much. I think it used to be, traditionally it was Ritz crackers. And one time I just got nutty with it, and I just, oh my gosh. It was like an entire layer of cracker, and you know what? It just wasn't that appealing at the end. So there is a reason why recipes have different proportions of stuff, you know? Just, you know, tested, tried and true, and works. Okay. Look at that. It already looks gorgeous. I'm getting really excited now. So I'm gonna pop this into the oven, center rack, 30 minutes uncovered, okay? Then we're gonna pull it out and we're gonna put some crushed crackers on top. And I got a little experiment going here. And then we'll pop it back in the oven for, I think, another 10 minutes. I'll see you guys soon. Okay, so regarding this little cracker experiment I've got going on, I have 2 different types of crackers here that I want to try. I used this brand last year, and these are cauliflower crackers, and they're not organic, but they are non-GMO, and they're mostly made of cauliflower, whole grain rice, cassava, potato starch, rice flour, potato flakes, and cassava starch. And these are really good, and they tasted amazing, and they crushed up really well. Here they are right here. There's different variations also on this one, and this one is sea salt. So there's that. These, I really love these, just to snack on their own. So these are by Crunchmaster, and I think they've been around for a while, and they've been doing the gluten-free thing. And these are also vegan and non-GMO. And there's different varieties of these too. These ones are rosemary. So the first few ingredients of this one is brown rice flour, potato starch, whole grain yellow cornmeal. So if you have an issue with corn, or if you're avoiding corn, then you might not want to go this route. But just because I'm curious and I only make this recipe like once a year, I thought I would just take this opportunity to try a different cracker this time and just, you know, see how it goes. These ones are more, they're a little harder in texture, like they're a little tougher to crack. So, but they broke up just as well as these did. So I'm gonna go ahead and put like half on one side and then put the other half on the other side, and we will see how that turns out. And you know, I'm guessing there's not gonna be a really big difference. So, and if you're not doing gluten-free, then you could just use any cracker you want, really. But that's what we're here for, right? To experience, experiment, and have fun and explore, and that's what it's all about. So yeah. Okay, so I've removed the casserole from the oven, and it is looking good, and I'm getting super excited. It actually looks glorious. So I'm gonna do the cauliflower crackers on the left. I've got dishpan hands because I was cleaning up while I was waiting for this to finish up. And I think I used 3/4 cups of crackers, Tuscan Peasant, my friends. Well, they're lighter in color, so as long as that doesn't change during baking, it shouldn't be too difficult to tell what's what. And now I've got 2 tablespoons of melted earth balanced butter. And you know, a little trick to avoid using the microwave, because I really don't like to use the microwave too much, you know, radiation and all that. But I just set this on the stove top ever since the oven was preheating, and it's perfectly melted. So just a little trick there. All right, and I'm just gonna try and drizzle this somewhat evenly. And back into the oven she goes. And I think it's 10 more minutes uncovered. Yeah, 10 more minutes and still uncovered. So see you guys soon. Okay, so the casserole is done, and it turned out incredibly delicious. And as for my little cracker experiment, I much preferred the cracker on the left, the cauliflower crackers that I had used before, because I think cauliflower and broccoli have a similar taste profile, and so these crackers just really enhanced the flavor of the broccoli, whereas the Crunchmaster cracker on the right was just a bit too crunchy for me, for my taste in this particular recipe. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I really hope you make this and enjoy it on your Thanksgiving table. It really is a hit. And if you do make the recipe and you loved it, leave a comment below. Leave a comment if you subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment if you have any future ideas or suggestions, or anything that you would like to see me veganize and make gluten-free and refined sugar-free. And happy holidays, everyone, and I look forward to seeing you next time.